broke down, and that's raising worries about a possible Greek default. With that, the Dow down 140 points today. It ended higher for the week, though. The Nasdaq lower by 31, down for the third week in a row. One of the few gainers today, shares of chicken wing chain Wingstop, shares surging 61% higher on the very first day of trading. Oil closed lower. It ended the week just a few cents under $60 a barrel. Meantime, there were 7 fewer oil and natural gas rigs operating in the U.S. just last week. And in a big defeat for President Obama, the House overwhelmingly voting down a Senate-approved international trade bill that President Obama strongly supported. Now, the stickler for Democrats, this bill would kill a training program for U.S. workers displaced by a likely influx of more foreign-made goods. I'm Tom Busby, CNBC.
Have you had trouble with online dating? This is eHarmony founder Dr. Neil Clark Warren. We've created a new solution, EH Plus. EH Plus combines the personal attention of a matchmaker with eHarmony's extensive pool of great singles. EH Plus gives you hand-selected matches and freedom from being online. Get started today. Call 855-930-LOVE. That's 855-930-LOVE.
Sharing. Since you were a kid, you've been told to share. Share your toys, the bathroom, share your feelings. There's shared baby pictures, cat videos, gym selfies, political views. When does the sharing stop? How about with your nachos? Reintroducing the $1.49 grilled stuffed nacho from Taco Bell. The first nachos designed not to share. It's seasoned beef, cheesy jalapeno sauce, nacho cheese sauce, and crunchy tortilla strips wrapped up and ready to go. Don't share one today for only $1.49. Live Más. At participating locations for a limited time. Prices may vary. Tax extra.
Good afternoon, 202 Inland Empire weather. Variable cloudiness today, highs near 84. A few less clouds Saturday and highs 88. And then Sunday looking pretty sunny with a high near 92. Overnight lows tonight about 61. Currently, we've got about 80 degrees here in San Bernardino. Looking at your drive through Corona, stop and go on the 15 northbound between Temescal Canyon Road and Weirwick Road. And also in the Cajon Pass, good news, an accident has cleared. That's on the 15 southbound just past Oak Hill. It had both directions a little bit slow. Traffic is still a little bit slow in the area toward the 395. And then it's also a little slow and go from the 210 to the 138 because, you know, it is Friday. That is the very latest with weather and traffic on the station that leaves no listener behind. Kcaa 1050 AM with the Poorman Show up next. Kcaa 1050 AM. It's time to find out what's trending. With the What's Trending report, here's Successful Brim.
Leading with over 5 million searches, NBA fans are glued to their seats as the NBA Finals continue. Fans are hanging on to see if LeBron James can lead the Cleveland Cavaliers to their first NBA championship, or will Steph Curry help bring the gold to the Golden State Warriors? Also trending with over 5 million searches. That's right. The 2015 Women's FIFA World Cup tournament kickoff, no pun intended, had over 3 million viewers. The tournament features 24 soccer teams from around the world battling it out until a champion is crowned. And this week, many people celebrated National Best Friends Day by posting pictures of their besties on social media. Although it may not be an actual holiday, the hashtag National Best Friends Day had over 136,000 tweets and millions of Instagram mentions. This had over 200,000 searches. I'm Successful Brim with What's Trending this week on KCAA 1050, the station that leaves no listener behind.
It's time for the KCAA Community Calendar, brought to you exclusively by Learn for Life, a growing network of public charter schools. The clear mission of Learn for Life is to motivate and mentor students who have dropped out of school and provide them with the personalized education and technical training necessary to advance their lives.
Here's a look at the KCAA Community Calendar. I'm Di Rice. The Sheriff's Homeless Outreach and Proactive Enforcement Team, otherwise known as HOPE, is launching a Positive Change, Not Spare Change community awareness campaign. The goal of HOPE is to educate the public. For instance, statistics show that 65% of panhandlers are not homeless, and when you give money to a panhandler, you may be contributing to a drug or alcohol addiction. Legitimate homeless service providers can channel your donation to real solutions for moving people beyond homelessness. If you or your business would like to support Hope's cause, signs, flyers, posters, and bumper stickers will be available in support of this effort. If you are interested in receiving any promotional materials, please contact Hope locally at 909-387-0623. 909-387-0623. You can also call toll-free at 844-811-4673. That's 844-811-HOPE. Or you can send your request to hope at sbcsd.org. And that's a look at the community calendar on KCAA 1050 AM.
The KCAA Community Calendar is presented exclusively by Learn for Life, a growing network of public charter schools where students can complete their education on a part-time basis. To find a resource center nearest you, call 1-877-360-LEARN or visit Learn for Life online at learn4life.org. With new developments in an ever-changing story about Dr. Drew, here's the Poorman.
Thank you very much, and welcome to another show, you guys. It just seems like more and more things develop with this story that all really originated a week ago. It brought up some old memories. The Daily Mail article came out last Friday, and a number of people alleged they had done cocaine with Dr. Drew 30 years ago. And what's so interesting about this story, I personally was involved because I discovered Dr. Drew. I created Loveline, did it with him for 10 years. And then I got thrown off the show in 1993, which is 22 years ago. And basically, it pretty much ended my big-time radio career. I was #1 in Los Angeles with that show. It was a humongously successful show. Loveline was groundbreaking at that time. A year into the program, I discovered Dr. Drew at a party. I was actually taking a shower at a friend's house. I was naked in a bathroom, and my friend comes into the bathroom and said, "This is Drew Pinsky," who at that time was a medical student getting the rest of his, education to become a doctor, which would have happened a year later and did happen. So that's how Dr. Drew and I first met. We started Loveline a year earlier, myself and Swedish Eagle, and basically from the very first minute Loveline started, we knew this was a major hit radio show because we were on midnight to 3 on a Sunday night. I gave out the phone number, and the whole way it started was Eagle and I, we were best friends. We used to talk about how screwed up our own love lives were, and we thought, well, they had given me this midnight to 3 shift on Sunday night. And I said, well, maybe what we should do is just, ask people to call in with their love problems, and then people will give them advice, or then we'll give them advice, even though we weren't qualified. We weren't doctors. We weren't anything like that. So I'll never forget, we decided to do this as a segment. And I said, okay, if you have a love problem, call in. And the phones at midnight on a Sunday night, which were dead every other time, all of a sudden they were just blazing. They were just going boom, boom, boom. Every single line was ringing nonstop. And it continued that way for the 10 years that I did the show. There was never a down moment doing Loveline. So inevitably, people would say, well, we had sort of a mini orgy. There were like 8 people and I had sex with 4 of them. And I go, did you wear a condom? No, I didn't. So, and then the guy would go, well, I have this ooze between my legs, poor man. I couldn't keep saying, take an aspirin. So after I met Drew, one thing led to another. I said, why don't you come on the radio and do a thing called Ask a Surgeon? And it was going to be kind of a jokey kind of thing where there was a growth on, somebody's head, and you'd talk about it. And then he didn't ever do that because we knew we needed him for Loveline. We had phone numbers that we gave out, but then he came on the show, and that was in 1983. He has not left the show. 10 years after that, I was thrown off the show for taking 300 listeners to the morning team at K-Rock's of Bean, front lawn at midnight. They're still the morning team. I was suspended indefinitely with 16 months left on my contract, paid. I was making $180,000 a year in 1993, if you can believe that. Really good money. And but I could not get another job because of the fact that they didn't have to put me on the air as long as they paid me, and that's what they did. Dr. Drew said he would, 2 weeks after that, walk off the show and stand by me. We had become best friends almost immediately. I introduced him to his wife, Susan, who was the former head K-Rock Bikini Girl. I also created the Bikini Girls as well as creating Loveline. I was in his wedding. I'm a godfather to one of his children, although I'm sure he doesn't want to ever acknowledge that. And anyway, 2 weeks after I was thrown off, he said he would walk off the show and stand by me. He, at that time, told me that they would take his house, were his words. In other words, K-Rock would take his house if he stepped off the show. People have said he had to stay on the show because he had triplets and he needed the income. But I just want to let everybody know, at that time, Dr. Drew was virtually making hardly anything on Loveline. It was a 5-day-a-week show by that point. It was so popular, but he wasn't making that much money. His main money was in his medical practice. He had a full-time practice, and he also worked at Los Encinas Hospital, which he later headed. And of course, if you followed his history, there have been patients that have died at Los Encinas under his care, and then also in celebrity rehab, on and on and on. The reason this has come back up, like I said, is the Daily Mail came out with an article 1 week ago. You can, if you haven't seen it yet, just Google Daily Mail, Dr. Drew and cocaine. And in addition to myself, Farley Malaris, Joanna Ferguson, and an unnamed 14-year-old girl, we all said we snorted coke with Drew, and he used to do a lot of coke. So Drew has denied this and denied this and denied this. The day before the article came out, which was a week ago yesterday, he was asked for a statement and a comment by the author of the Daily Mail. And Drew instead did not give a statement, but he went on the air on his HLN show and kind of admitted that he did it, which we're going to get into later today. But he didn't really admit it, and also he lied in his admission a week ago yesterday. So this is sort of where everything stands. We have a major new development in this case that I will get to as soon as we take our first commercial break. But this is what's happened to me personally. I lost my career because of Drew not standing by me, and we were best friends, like I said, and he made a business decision to stay on Loveline and basically throw me under the bus. So this whole thing has for years been about me being butthurt over the whole thing. But as I have been on the air dealing with this the last week, because since that article came out, it's been shared 2,500 times. It's been written about in newspapers all over the country. I did radio interviews already. I was on a TV show that I don't want to mention until my piece actually airs. There's another article in the New York Daily News. And so I've really been looking into the entire history of Dr. Drew on Loveline. And it's no longer, I just want to let everybody know, this is no longer a story about me losing my career and being bitter, man. And that's, I just want to let everybody know that's what, and I can understand why people feel that way. And I've had family members, I've had friends, close friends really are against me, have been against me on this, but I truthfully feel that I will be vindicated now, because now really the issue isn't, I don't care if I get a nickel back of what I lost, or I don't care if I ever regain the fame I had in LA radio. It's more, the issue has become this doctor continuing to be on 2 nationally syndicated radio shows and a national television show and lying about not only that, but just other things as well. I feel it's disturbing because you hear, look at Brian Williams, for example, at NBC. He fabricated the fact that he was present at all these things that happened in Iraq, and he was taken off the NBC nightly news, and rightfully so. Although personally, I wouldn't have done it. But in Dr. Drew's case, this is a medical doctor who's now surrounded by all these cocaine allegations, lying, this or that. What I don't understand, and maybe somebody can please fill me in on this, is why these Cumulus Radio, which has him on, I believe, 37 stations, including KABC in Los Angeles. And then K-Rock, which Loveline syndicated by Westwood One and Norm Pattis, who now claims he's the owner of the show. So literally, that's all over the United States on numerous stations. His new KABC show's there. And then HLN, obviously, he's on a major network that's owned by CNN or whoever owns CNN these days. Why they don't do their own investigation? They're having a medical doctor on the air who there have been all these allegations now of lying and continuing to lie. And my feeling is that there's some serious issues with his mental well-being and being on the air and giving advice as a doctor. Why isn't he being taken off the air and an investigation taking place by these networks just to see and to arrive at their own truth? I've told you my truth, but now it's more about this lying doctor who is on the air still. And that's where I think this thing needs to be focused. All right, so we're going to take a break here, and then I'm going to be back with Michael Brown, the attorney, and he's going to tell you his big concern in this new development on the case that we have not heard before. And that will take place right after this as we continue on the Poorman Show on a Friday.
Too many men are wimps.
Linda Gross loves men. Bet that got your attention. Linda is a men's advocate who has helped many men get their balls back. And she can help you. Her proven coaching techniques will skyrocket your confidence and boost you into action in 4 sessions or less. Stop being stupid with girls, in business, or dump a lifelong problem. Go to themensadvocate.com or email Linda info@themensadvocate.com. Mention the Poor Man Show and get 15 minutes free. Also, pick up Linda's book, Mastering Women, on Amazon. Get the straight talk from the woman who knows. Leather doesn't have to be expensive. Not when it comes from Lucerne Lapidary and Leather in the Lucerne Valley. Who doesn't like leather? Get leather belts, wallets, gun belts, holsters, rifle scabbards, and original design handmade saddles. But that's not all. There's jewelry, custom design, custom cutting, shaping, engraving, polishing, repair, and more. Even classes in jewelry design. Come see it for yourself in the high desert. Lucerne Lapidary and Leather. 32776 Old Woman Spring Road in the Lucerne Valley. Call 760-885-7777. That's 760-885-7777. This may come as a surprise, but Beatlesarama is in its 15th year of keeping the Beatles alive for a new generation. If you spent any time in the 60s, or if you're smart enough to know it was the coolest era for music, you're going to love us. Just go to Beatlesarama.com and the player should start right up. We're also available on TuneIn, iTunes, Windows Media, and more. Once you tune in, you'll be hooked. Plus, you can join our Facebook fan club and follow us on Twitter. Be sure to bookmark it. Beatlesarama.com.
Okay, we're back here, and there is, again, a developing story with this entire Dr. Drew situation. I've got attorney Michael Brown, who was on the show yesterday. Michael, thanks for coming back on today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Poorman.
We were talking off the air yesterday, and I had on Farley Malaris and Joni Sorensen Fignetti, who both said that they had done, Farley had never done cocaine, but he had seen Dr. Drew snort coke on 20 different occasions while he was hosting Loveline and then continuing to give love advice while high. Joni said she was up there and would screen calls occasionally, and she had, a half a gram of coke, and Dr. Drew and her went into the bathroom during a break in Loveline, and they both snorted a quarter gram each, and then Dr. Drew went back on the air on Blow and gave love advice. So they talked about that yesterday, and we did that because we took apart his statement on HLN a week ago yesterday, where he, doing damage control before the article in the Daily Mail came out, he said that he had experimented with coke, pot, and alcohol when he was 21 and 22 years old. Excuse me. Yeah, maybe it was 22 and 23, 21, 22, or 22 and 23. He didn't like it much, and he was a med student. So we discussed that yesterday, and you were listening to this, and I said, what did you think about that? And that was not your concern at all, right?
Yes. As some may know, the California Medical Association sort of supervises physicians and monitors them, handles
Can
complaints.
you hold on just for a second? Is there any way we can boost Michael's sound at all, Di?
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah, just if you can make him a little louder. Start again, Michael. I apologize for interrupting.
No worries. As I was mentioning, the California Medical Association is responsible for monitoring physicians and protecting patients from physicians who really shouldn't have a license to practice. And as we were discussing yesterday, there was some discussion about whether or not Dr. Drew, at the time he was using the term doctor, was in fact licensed. And,
right, and let me go back and say this is not there is no disagreement with this. The first year Dr. Drew was on, after I put him on in 1983, he was for a year giving medical advice as a medical doctor, but he was still going to med school. So he was actually not a doctor for the first year, but he was letting the audience think that he was a medical doctor. And I would like to say I knew this all along. So, Michael, you were concerned about the fact during this year he was on the air giving advice saying he was a medical doctor.
Yes, under I think it's Business and Professions Code 2052, or basically anyone who holds himself out as practicing medicine without, at the time that they're doing that, having a license, is guilty of a crime. And if he, in fact, was, that would mean that he was practicing without a license and basically in violation of the law.
Okay, this was 30 years ago.
Yes.
Is it still relevant? I mean, on several levels, could the authorities, or I mean, who would charge him with the crime?
Well, it would be the district attorney for the county in which he was basically practicing without a license. So if that was L.A., then it would probably be the L.A. district attorney.
Well, we were in Pasadena. That was where our studios were. And his internship before he became a doctor was at Huntington Memorial Hospital.
Mm-hmm. Well, then it could be in any of those, or actually all of those locations. It could be where he actually sat, and it could be actually where his advice was heard.
What was his crime then, and what could the result be?
Well, if a prosecutor wanted to, file charges, they could, and then if he was found guilty, he would be either fined and or incarcerated.
And this could still happen 30 years after the fact?
Probably it wouldn't, but it could. There are a lot of nuances and a lot of facts you'd have to look at to see whether or not the statute of limitations has run, things of that nature. This is not really a top priority for most prosecutors' offices, especially where someone has not actually put their hands on a patient. Merely dispensing advice over the airways as a physician when you're not would be slightly different, unless, of course, someone was harmed by his advice.
Right, which I don't think it was. But beyond that, there's a bigger concern, and you mentioned that in the fact you as an attorney are dealing with a government agency when you become a lawyer, and I think you were more concerned that something could happen with, I guess, when he finally became a doctor. And could you explain exactly what that issue is?
As is with most professions that you are licensed by the state, you need to make sure that the people who apply are of good moral character. And so they have a very strict code of professional ethics, things of that nature. If he had been committing a crime as practicing medicine without a license, that would definitely impact their evaluation as to whether or not he is of good moral fiber to continue to practice medicine. The fact that he may have admitted to illegal drug use could also contribute to the fact that the medical board could, even at this late stage, review him and determine if they felt there was a safety issue, determine that he is not competent to practice medicine, and they could pull his license. The medical board has a lot of authority. They can punish physicians for not refunding a patient money within 90 days or 120 days. So for him to either be discovered to have holding himself as a licensed practitioner when he wasn't, or B, the fact that he was engaged in illegal drug use, that would be my concern. Is the California Medical Association going to take action? They may say, hey, it was 30 years ago, no harm, no foul, we're not going to worry about it. Or they may want to say, hey, here's a very high-profile physician who basically was doing illegal drugs, holding himself out as a doctor when he wasn't. We want to set an example.
And listen, I just got a text, and this is relevant, obviously, to me personally. Could I be charged with a crime for knowing that he wasn't a doctor and hosting the show?
Probably not. It's doubtful that you would be charged with a crime. I mean, the only possible crime that I can think of is conspiracy.
That I met him?
Conspiracy to practice medicine without a license, or aiding and abetting.
Repeat that again. Sorry.
It's conspiracy to commit, or conspiracy to practice medicine without a license, or aiding and abetting an individual in the unauthorized practice of medicine. But like I said, I think those are much lesser charges. It's been over 30 years. Highly unlikely that it isn't barred by the statute of limitations at this time.
How likely is it?
Personally, I think right now you're probably fine.
Okay, but how likely is it that he could lose his license over because he's never denied it. So it's a given fact that he was holding himself out as a doctor, giving advice every Sunday night on Loveline for about a year before becoming a doctor. And then obviously a lot of people have stepped forward saying they did cocaine with him. How likely is it, in your opinion, that he could either be suspended or have his license revoked?
Well, you know what is going to make the board act or not act is really public complaints. That's generally what makes them initiate an investigation into a physician. So, for instance, if there is a lot of pressure, a lot of media attention to the fact that he was doing illegal drugs and or that he was practicing without a license, I think the pressure on the California Medical Board to do something would be great. And they probably take some sort of action. It could be a reproval, which is basically a hand slap, or a suspension, or if they, like I said, really wanted to send a very strong message, they could technically revoke his license.
Right. And then I guess there's the added fact, maybe he lied on his application that he ever was holding himself out not to be a doctor.
Yes, if anything, when these type of things come up, generally the governing board, in this case the California Medical Authority or Association, would probably do a more thorough review of the application to see if there were any other or any false responses.
Listen, and I just got another text. I mean, seriously, I could be dragged into this, but at this point, my biggest concern, and I seriously mean this because I've been dealing with this now every day. It's not anymore about me and getting my show stolen because I created Loveline. It's more about the fact that he's on the air on 2 nationally syndicated radio shows and a nationally syndicated television show, and the guy can't tell the truth. I mean, look, I'm no doctor. I went to law school and flunked the bar 3 times. But in my opinion, I would, if I was the owner of a station, I would suspend him. I'm not saying fire him, but maybe have him get some therapy about being honest, because he's dealt with so many different things, and his veracity has come up, and yet for whatever reason, these stations which throw DJs off the air for a whim are keeping a medical doctor on the air with all these questions surrounding him.
Well, I do agree. I think what has been revealed casts some real credibility issues for Dr. Drew. Now, whether or not he can survive them or respond to them adequately, only time will tell. But, as you know, in the radio business, as in most business, it's all about revenue, and they're going to be looking to see whether or not he's able to maintain his ratings and whether his sponsors still want to continue to pay for the advertising. And as long as that continues to go, I can't see them really, taking any action. However,
unless, as you said, the medical board takes action, then that's going to put it in a whole new ballpark.
I think I would agree with that. If he comes under scrutiny or review by the California Medical Association or board, yeah, I do believe that people will re-examine whether or not his being on the air or on TV, for that matter, is really the best.
All right. Well, Attorney Michael Brown, thank you so much for giving your opinion on that. And it's something I never would have even thought of. And that's interesting that of everything we talked about yesterday, we didn't even dwell on that. And that was your biggest concern. And listen, have a great day. And thanks for the time, Mike.
Absolutely. Good luck. Take care.
Okay, you too. All right. When we come back, we were trying to find some sound on this, but at least I have a transcript of two different times that Dr. Drew denied ever doing cocaine, or for that matter, any drugs. And then I will give you my final analysis, and then we'll move on. So that'll be right after this.
When I say Wave Tools, you think surfboards, right? But not just any surfboards. We're talking boards that just work better. Since Lance Collins polished off his first surfboard in 1969, Wave Tools has been cranking out the best boards money can buy for all of SoCal and beyond. Come check out what a real surf shop is all about. Real surfers hanging out any time of day at Wave Tools Surfboards. Customize that new board with a look that screams you. Wave Tools Surfboard in Costa Mesa. Go to wavetoolssurf.com or call 949-631-0887. The crew is ready to assist you. 949-631-0887. Tired of spending too much money on an ad and then trying to find your ad in the newspaper, buried among hundreds, even thousands of other ads? Isn't it time you got a great deal when you were trying to sell that car, that dining room set, that refrigerator, or offering your handyman services? Now you can in the Nickel Shopper. For as little as $7.50 per week, your ad can be seen by thousands of eyeballs in the high desert, and they're getting the Nickel Shopper for free. Call today to place your ad in the Nickel Shopper, 760-646-3654, or go to thenickelshopper.com for all the details, 760-646-3654. The Nickel Shopper, coming soon to the IE. Have you ever wanted to bring the beauty of the ocean right into your home or office? Or already have an aquarium and just no time to clean it? Let Scuba Steve's Fish take care of that for you, specializing in new aquarium setups and maintenance. That's ScubaStevesFish.net, 714-600-2739. Check out the website at ScubaStevesFish.net. That's ScubaStevesFish.net. Get it? Fish.net. Serving Orange County and parts of the Inland Empire. There's nothing worse than a dirty aquarium. ScubaStevesFish.net.
And we are back here. We're pretty much going to wrap up the Dr. Drew discussion. We've been talking about this all week. Honestly, this is not the only thing I'm going to talk about the rest of my life. I think in a way, this whole thing with that article coming out, the publicity and everything else, it's helped to bring some closure to me. It'll never bring closure because I would be right alongside that guy with a big career and a lot of money and never having to go through the pain of losing everything if I was still on there. But I just... let me give you a couple other things. We tried to get some sound on this, and unfortunately we ran out of time. And by the way, it's Pat Matthews, Mr. Announcer's birthday. Yay!
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday,
Pat. Wherever you are.
Wherever you are, Pat. Thank you so much for not getting that sound. I'm just kidding. Dude, you deserve it. And listen, I'm keeping the spirit. I'm keeping myself thinking the good thoughts about you. Pat is listen, what Pat deals with on a daily basis is way heavier than anything I'm talking about. And he's the man. He's just the greatest guy, and he's helped me out so much with the show. But a couple things we wanted to mention that Dr. Drew with Howard Stern, this was posted on my Facebook page. He was on in 2009, I believe it was November. And anyway, we have a transcription, basically. We tried to get the sound. We couldn't find it, but it absolutely was on a Howard Stern show. And if you're a fan of Howard Stern, you guys probably remember this. Dr. Drew was on. Howard Stern asked him, were you ever a user of drugs? This is in 2009. And this is when Celebrity Rehab was going on, the show where 5 people later died after the show came to a close. And then Dr. Drew's response was, Stern said, were you ever a user of drugs? Dr. Drew said, no. Howard Stern, never tried pot, nothing? Dr. Drew, thank God it's not in me. It doesn't seem like anyway. I'm thinking not good. Then Robin Quivers goes, do you feel you can't really relate because you don't have any experience? And I'm guessing that's in relation to his Celebrity Rehab show, which he was on Howard promoting. And Dr. Drew said, no, I can. In fact, people in recovery always tell me that it is weird how much I understand it. They don't understand how a non-recovery person has such a deep appreciation of this condition. I don't know. It's like the right side of my brain is overdeveloped, and I can just tune into that.
Wow. Non-recovery. So
yeah, now you're too low. See, I can't hear you hardly. Can you turn yourself up?
Really? No, my mic's all the way up. You seriously can't? Okay.
It's weird. We have an issue, folks, behind the scenes.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Like when we're in commercials.
Hello?
We've had the commercials blaring loudly, and I can barely hear Di when we're off the air. So now I can hear Di when we're off the air, and now I can barely hear her when she's on the air. You're sounding so distant.
Really? Right now?
Yes.
Still.
Yes, it's like you're 100 miles away. I know that everybody on the air can hear you fine. But anyway, Di, so now 1 week ago, yesterday, he admitted to using, to experimenting basically with cocaine, pot, and alcohol. And we know for a fact, and not liking it. So he admitted it a week ago. He denied it in 2009 when he was doing Celebrity Rehab. And then we had another soundbite, which unfortunately I couldn't find. The first article on his cocaine use came out in 2010, I believe January 14th, 2010, in a magazine called Life and Style. And again, they interviewed me. They interviewed Joanna Ferguson, and Dr. Drew went on Kevin and Bean, who do the K-Rock morning show in Los Angeles the next day. They said, Dr. Drew, I mean, the Poorman is alleging that you did coke, and that's a pretty serious charge. Why aren't you suing him or anything? And basically, Dr. Drew denied ever doing it, said Jim's got some mental issues, that meaning me, and so he skirted around the issue in 2010. So he denied it in both 2009, 2010. Finally, the article comes out in the Daily Mail last Friday, and the night before, when he hears about it, he does damage control, and he finally admits it. So you just heard Attorney Michael Brown. You just heard all this. The people died after Celebrity Rehab. I know nothing about Celebrity Rehab. I didn't watch it, but I obviously heard about these people that he treated. I know that people died at Los Encinas Hospital, which he headed. And all the time concealing that he had ever done coke. And then Michael Brown saying when he first was on the air, I guess he so desperately wanted to be on the radio that he said he was a medical doctor when in fact he wasn't. And then, on a smaller angle, because you guys will think I'm bitter, but at the same time, telling his best friend, me, who got suspended for honestly not a very good reason, that he would walk off the love line and stand by me, and then turning on his best friend and screwing me over again. People think, oh, you're hashing your bitterness, get over it. But you see just the accumulation of everything, including his admission a week ago when the guy is still not admitting what he really did. Should these stations he's on, radio and TV, suspend the guy and do their own investigation, or do they just keep America's doctor on there with all this going around? And Di, you obviously have had to listen to this for a whole week. I apologize, but what do you think?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me now.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I think that it's great that I think you're feeling better about it, and that's my biggest concern, because I think it's giving you, at least you're able to say how you feel and reach thousands and thousands of people. So, but yeah, he loses his credibility when he makes lies. Anyone does, for God's sakes. Come on. So,
but in your opinion, is that enough to get him suspended from his gigs and have an investigation take place?
Brian Williams supposedly lied or fabricated these stories about, all his overseas I don't know, adventures, if you want to call it. I don't know. He changed them from time to time, and they were saying that, there was another side of that, saying that, well, it was so traumatic that, he felt like he was there. He felt like it was worse than it actually was, and he kind of is reliving some of the things he saw. So I kind of actually have a little more sympathy for someone like Brian Williams than as opposed to Drew Pinsky. He knew exactly what he was doing back in the 80s. He knew there's no trauma that went with that. Am I right? You guys were having a pretty good time in those days. Am I right? Yeah.
Yep, until I was taken off the air. We were great. We were best friends until the minute I was gone.
And I mean, I just think that a doctor has even, well, I don't know if he would have higher standards, but I mean, definitely he directly deals with people's lives, as opposed to Brian Williams. He's a news reporter. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't hold news reporters. I'm a news reporter to high standards. You should. You definitely should. But I think that was a great comparison. And I think the situation that he's in is even a little more intense. So,
I just got here's the typical response. I just got a text. Stop talking about it. It's over. He won't get suspended, and there is talk of you being sued. Get on with your life and career. Dude, it's not about me anymore. Honestly, it's not. It's about, what kind of standard do you hold this guy to? And we're not going to talk about this for the rest of my life unless something new comes up, which possibly it could. Get on with your life and career. Think of your sponsors. I think of them all the time. Absolutely, I think of my sponsors. So anyway, we're going to leave it at that.
In fact, one on the line.
Thinking one of my sponsors here in just a few minutes, the Nickel Shopper. Carl Kearns is one of my sponsors. He does this thing called the Nickel Shopper in the High Desert. And because it's called the Nickel Shopper, I challenged him to come up with something that people could get for a nickel. Can you think of anything anybody can get that costs a nickel anymore?
Maybe a gumball?
No, the gumballs are a dime.
Are they? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, no, I used to eat them. That's why I had my teeth replaced. I love gumballs. Wow. But I think I honestly cannot think of anything that's a nickel. So he's going to tell us about that. And the other thing I've wanted to talk about all week long that everybody, I'm sure, is thinking about is this prison escape.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I for some reason, I'm fascinated by these two murderers who escaped from the prison in New York. One of them, I guess, was, a 51-year-old prison guard. A woman was infatuated or had a romantic liaison, I guess, with a 34-year-old. One guy was 34, one was 48. She helped them to escape, and I guess they got some tools. They cut a hole in their cells and escaped into thick woods around this prison in New York. And some people said they're in Vermont, maybe they're going to Canada, and now the most recent news is that they're only a couple of miles away from the prison, hiding in the woods. But it's been a week now. These guys have escaped the authorities for a week. There's going to be a movie on this. You just absolutely know it. But it's fascinating to me that this could actually happen. And I just wonder what the result is going to be. I wonder if they're going to end up getting away with it. If they get into Canada, maybe they could go to another country. Who knows what's going to go on? Anyway, let's take a break. We'll be back with Carl. Maybe we could talk some more about the prison break. Yes, we're not going to talk about Drew anymore today as we continue here with the Poorman Show.
Are you starting a business, have a business, but need to help ensure it's operating compliant with the law? Do you have business contracts with other parties that need to be reviewed to ensure they're protected and you avoid costly litigation? At the law offices of Michael W. Brown, we specialize in providing legal advice to businesses to ensure they succeed. Our firm can help you select the correct business structure, such as a corporation, LLC, or partnership. If your business needs a contract prepared or reviewed, we can help. The law offices of Michael W. Brown has over 20 years' experience providing practical and cost-effective legal advice to small, medium, and large businesses.
I'm Michael Brown, and my firm has helped our clients get their businesses off to the right start, grow, and be successful. We represent businesses of all sizes, large, medium, small, and even the individual. Our firm has experience in a variety of industries, including medical and healthcare, manufacturing, distribution, and telecommunications. And I know I can help your business as well.
Now you can have your own legal department for your business, ready when you are at a fraction of the cost. Initial consultations are always free. Call us at 949-636-8128 or visit us at mwb-law.net. This may come as a surprise, but Beatles-orama is in its 15th year of keeping the Beatles alive for a new generation. If you spent any time in the 60s, or if you're smart enough to know it was the coolest era for music, you're going to love us. Just go to BeatlesOrama.com and the player should start right up. We're also available on TuneIn, iTunes, Windows Media, and more. Once you tune in, you'll be hooked. Plus, you can join our Facebook fan club and follow us on Twitter. Be sure to bookmark it. BeatlesOrama.com.
You know, I haven't done Coke for a lot of years. Maybe I should do it again. You know, if you guys were watching the show three weeks ago, if you're watching on Ustream, we had the Cottonmouth Kings on, and I got stoned live on the show for the first time in 5 years. In fact, that could be used too against me, because that actually is on a Ustream video. So if somebody wanted to prosecute me for getting stoned, it's actually on tape. But I don't know. I run 12 miles a day. I think if I snorted a few lines, my heart would explode at this point in my life. I think it would be scary.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did my fair share of Coke. Luckily, wasn't addicted. I know some people who have noses like Swiss cheese. Let's put on Carl Kearns. Carl, from the Nickel Shopper, the owner.
Hey there, poor man.
Did you ever snort Coke, Carl? I want you to come clean.
No, actually, no, never did.
Did you ever smoke pot?
Yeah. Nope. Allergic to marijuana. Can't be near it.
Allergic to it? Wow, I've never heard of that.
How do you know you were allergic? Did you eat a few brownies or something at one time?
But then again, I'm also allergic to the hay I grow, so, I mean, duh.
Yeah.
Hey, Carl, did you ever eat pot? I mean, obviously, if you're allergic to it, you had to have sampled it at one point or another.
No, I watched my friends, and I thought, gosh, if you only realized you did not come up with the solution to solving world hunger, world peace, all you did was look at me with glazed eyes and said, "Gee, this room smells funny."
So you will admit that you smoked pot at one time?
No, I was around it. That's why I found out, because I had some friends of mine when I was a teenager.
And how did you know you were allergic to pot?
My head locked up instantly. I could not breathe. I have a tendency around certain plants and stuff. I got to be careful. I go into anaphylactic shock.
Oh,
so
wow.
what happened to you when you were around marijuana?
Throat started closing up, difficulty breathing, and so I said, you know what, I'm out of here. So that was the worst of it.
Wow.
Dude, I have never heard of anybody being allergic to marijuana.
I've gone into full-blown anaphylactic shock. I mean, my entire body was tomato red.
Wow.
I've never, ever, you're the first person I've ever met that was allergic to marijuana.
Yeah,
Yep.
me too.
Go figure. But I tell you what, there was a time. I dried myself out 36 years ago. There was a time if I was awake, I was toasted. And when I quit, everybody said, "Why'd you quit? You didn't have a problem." Because
what were
I
you toasted
I was
on?
Successful, always on time.
Carl, did you drink?
And I was drunk.
Carl.
Yeah.
Hey, Carl, what were you toasted on?
My favorite was 2 double shots for every Budweiser.
Oh, well.
So you were a drinker. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, so you were a drinker.
Yeah. Oh, I did my share. And then one day I thought, you know what, I'll be dead before I'm 35. So I quit when I was 28.
Wow.
Awesome. Okay, Carl,
Yeah,
let's get to the main reason you're calling. Besides the nickel shopper, your mag that's now getting all sorts of new advertisers. The Penny Saver goes out of business. How many new people are advertising in the nickel shopper now that there's no more Penny Saver?
Well, we're doing real good, and I did happen to read an interesting little article in there about being challenged for something for a nickel.
Right.
And
okay, can you get anything for a nickel anymore?
It got shot down locally here. I said, "Hey, girls, for 5 cents, I'll get you a date with the poor man." And there was 5 gals came up with 3 cents cash and a promissory note. And I said, "No, I want."
Oh my gosh, how funny!
Yeah, you can buy me for a nickel, but seriously.
But I did a beautiful, small, very, very refined, clear quartz crystal for a nickel. That's worth probably about, I'm going to say, probably $4 or $5.
Okay, what is it?
A quartz crystal.
What does it look like?
It looks like a quartz crystal. It forms in nature. It's a natural semi-precious stone.
And what's it used for?
Crystals, if you're into homeopathic medicine and stuff like that, crystal gives you strength and helps you keep balance. So if you wear it like in a pendant and stuff like that, you'll see people that wear certain items that are semi-precious gemstones for certain reasons.
And so you've got it. Where can people get this quartz stone from?
Real simple. Lucerne lapidary and leather.
Oh, that's you're right. Our other sponsor. They can get it at your store.
Yes, exactly. And then also a neighboring store talked to me today about being a sponsor on your show, dude.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Yes.
Ken Sprzak. And it's a great little operation. Good prices on everyday products that we use in the house for about 50% of what they normally you'd be paying. And they've been in the paper now with me for about, 4 or 5 months. And you bring in their ad out of the nickel shopper, and they will give you an additional 10% off the stuff that's already marked down 30, 40, 50, 60%.
What's the name of the store?
Ken's for Zach.
Ken, what?
Ken's, Kenz, and the number 4, and Zach, Z-A-K.
Where's it located, the store?
It's located at 32800 Old Woman Springs Road in the Lucerne Valley Shopping Center.
Wow. Is that where Lucerne and Leather is located, too?
That's where the lapidary and leather is located, yes.
Right, lapidary and leather.
And
wow.
Poorman, that's where they invented the toothbrush. You know why?
Why?
Because otherwise it would have been called the teeth brush.
Well, that is good. Am
I right, Carl?
You are nailing it, girl. That's why I imported a wife out of Orange County, because she.
All right, yeah.
Is there something wrong with me that I did not get that joke?
Because,
honestly,
it is what it is.
Can you explain why that was funny?
Okay, if you've ever been to Lucerne Valley, Carl, describe the people in Lucerne Valley.
Oh, gosh. It's an interesting variety. When you drive into town, it says, "Welcome to Lucerne Valley, a town of character." And then next to that is a apostrophe S, characters. You have every type and description in this town. A lot of good people, a lot of them very simple people. A lot of them definitely you don't want to stand next to in the grocery store.
Simple, hillbilly.
You want to keep at least 20 feet.
Why?
Because somebody forgot to tell them the soap was on aisle 5.
Oh, they have B.O.?
No, B.O. would be an improvement.
And what? So and by the toothbrush thing, do a lot of people have rotted teeth in the Lucerne Valley?
Yeah, well, there's a few, but I think
Bingo.
Phelan outnumbers us.
I don't know. I don't know, Carl.
And Phelan to see a full set of teeth, 32 teeth, you line up 32 people.
But Di, do you see that all the time? Like this, can you relate with what Carl's talking about in the Lucerne Valley?
I mean, they're just real, Carl. Don't you know?
Yeah,
we're just
ragging on you, poor man.
They just sound like they're behind the times. What's the population out there?
Population in Lucerne spread out over probably a couple hundred square miles is like I think 3,400 people.
Yeah.
Well, don't they have showers?
Oh yeah, but there's a few of the homeless characters around, and when they pass by the back of the store, I run out there with the garden hose and tell them I'm giving away free baths.
You're horrible. Okay, so anyway,
I try to do my civic duty and help to teach hygiene.
And
this is really deteriorating this conversation. Okay, so Carl,
what can I tell you? When somebody walks in, and I have smelled stuff dead at the side of the road for 3 weeks, that still smelled better than the guy in front of me. And I've got a strong stomach.
Right.
And when you can make me start feeling a little bit blue or green around the gills, you've definitely achieved a higher level.
Okay, this is the owner of the Nickel Shopper, everybody, Carl Kearns. And Carl, once again, you are giving a quartz stone. Your people can buy it for a nickel at your store. The name of your store?
Lucerne Lapidary and Leather in the Lucerne Valley Shopping Center.
Okay, and how long will this go on for that they can buy that quartz stone for a nickel?
This will be until we'll make it next Thursday because I'm going to have something else for Friday.
Give a phone number. I want to see if everybody listening right now will call that number. What's the number?
Okay, 760-885-7777.
That's easy enough.
And you can't find a gal for Poorman for 5 cents, huh?
Right. Find me one of those girls that smells with no teeth, and I'm there.
Yeah. Toothless may not be a bad thing, Poorman.
Right. Hey, we got one more commercial break, don't we, Di?
No, we don't.
And we might have your ad in it, Carl. One of your 2 ads. So you better let us go so we can make sure we run it.
Okay, there, Poorman, and thank you, Di.
Carl,
okay,
always
thanks for
a pleasure.
Letting me put my perspective in there every week as well. Okay.
Great.
We do not have another break.
We don't?
We don't.
We ran all 4 of them?
3. There's 3.
Oh, there's only 3 breaks now. That's right.
Yeah.
Because we've lost so many sponsors. That's another issue. We're really happy about that.
Well, we got 2 minutes left, and we've got someone calling in. Should we take our chances?
Yeah. Let's get the plane and the bomb ready. Okay.
All right. It is ready.
Okay. Go ahead. We'll. If it's Radio Hindenburg, which I predict it'll be somebody going Radio Hindenburg. Let's see.
All right. Let's see.
Because I haven't given out the phone number for the show the entire day.
Yeah. Okay. Kcaa.
Yes. All right, we'll take some more. Why did you do that, Di?
What? Before he did it to us. He always just hangs up on us. So.
Okay, how much time do we have left? Can we take another call? Somebody call in. 888-909-1050 is our number.
Yeah, we've only got about 40 seconds or so.
How much do we have?
About 40 seconds.
40 seconds left.
Oh, here we go.
No.
Okay.
It's probably the same guy. Hello?
Poorman?
Yes.
Are we still friends? This is Trevor.
Trevor, oh gosh, I hear the plane going overhead. Oh, wait.
My show starts next week.
Wait, the plane is going overhead. I can hear it. Trevor, I'm so sorry. Trevor is going to have a new radio show, and we're in heavy negotiations for me to put it right after my show. as long as he pays me $500 in advertising a month, I'll be glad to.
You're so
That's
funny.
my dirty laundry on the air, Di.
All right. Okay, say goodbye until Monday.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
I'm Stephanie Shelton, CNBC Radio. Stocks just before the closing bell remain well in the red as traders worry about Greece and whether the debt talks can be restarted. The House rejection of a major part of President Obama's Pacific trade bill appears to have had no effect. The Dow right now down 135 points, NASDAQ down 30, the S&P 500 down 14. And as of now, the S&P 500 is flat for the week, and all of the Dow industrials are lower. Wholesale prices rose last month by the most in 2.5 years, 0.5%, but much of that involved higher prices for gasoline and food. And an early read on consumer confidence finds it jumped during the first part of June as people anticipated higher raises. Wingstop, the chicken wing restaurant chain, which began trading today, is up 59% from its